Rugby Union Daily Podcast. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Hi, my name's Eddie Hearn, and this is No Passion, No Point. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are listening to the podcast this week. BBC No Passion, No Point with me, Eddie Hearn. And this week, a young man very close to our hearts, the current WBO Cruiserweight World Champion, Lawrence Okolie. Not many British World Boxing Champions around at the moment, but Lawrence Okolie is one, the best in the division, and in my opinion, a guy that's going to go on and win all the belts at Cruiserweight and also move up to heavyweight as well and potentially win a world championship up there. We don't talk a lot of sport on this pod, and we're not going to talk too much sport today, but we need to talk about the story of Lawrence Okolie, which is quite a remarkable one. You know, a kid from, you know, a rough area in Hackney that was very limited in terms of opportunities, that really paved his own path to greatness. And I think this is an important story to tell, because this is someone that, you know, is normally a stat, someone that is just normally a kid that might get in trouble at school or join a gang on the estate or really struggle to make something of his life, that found boxing. And we talk so much about the role that sport and boxing can play in shaping the future for the younger generations, and created a dream by being inspired by the Olympics, the 2012 Olympics, and particularly Anthony Joshua and Usain Bolt, and just went from literally flipping burgers in McDonald's to the Olympics and to becoming boxing's world champion. BBC No Passion, No Point. Delighted this week to be joined by British boxing royalty, Lawrence, I think we can say now, the current WBO Cruiserweight world champion, Lawrence Okolie, also rapper, also author, also doctor, I believe now as well, which is an unbelievable journey that you've been on from the humble abodes of Hackney, and of course when we first met as well, coming through the GB system. These pods aren't really to talk about sport per se, but also about life and mindset and the hustle. But of course we must mention your big fight coming up this Sunday. Michael Cislak, the second defence of your world championship at the very windy O2 Arena. We're actually in the Sky Bar right now overlooking the O2 Arena, which is still sort of damaged in some area, but we're assured the show will go on. But just talking off mic there, a proper fight for you, a real fight, the toughest of your career so far.
Yeah, on paper it's going to be a tough fight, but I hope to make it look easy. I think that a lot of times I've had fights where it's meant to be hard fights, and then I end up, you know, just doing what I usually do, which is why people feel like every fight's going to be the toughest test, but I aim to go in and make hard fights look easy. One
thing with you is you've always had a huge amount of confidence, but I feel that as your career's progressed, that confidence, like arrogance I think arrogance is important actually for an athlete to believe in themselves. But I remember when we first met and we went to the Sky Studios and stuff like that, and you had that terrible outfit on. I remember.
It was a good outfit.
You were green then, you know, you didn't really know, but you seem to be really assured of yourself and in your ability right now, and you feel that you are hands down the best cruiserweight on the planet.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like a lot of times you get that from experience, and secondly you get it from actually trying to challenge yourself. You know, at every stage of my career, I've tried to push to be in the hardest fights that are available, and I've come out on top every time. I've hardly been caught with a good shot. So these are people who have trained their whole lives to fight, and they're struggling to deal with me. So with every fight, you get a little bit more confident. And secondly, I just think I just treat boxing very, you know, what will be. So of course I'm going to be confident, because every step that I've made is a blessing from where I've come from. So I don't really feel any pressure when it comes to fighting. It's an opportunity to just do what I do in front of my family and friends.
Obviously, you only won the World Championship recently, but we've all got plans, and they're plans that must materialise to unify the division and hopefully become undisputed. But a lot of talk about you making that inevitable move to heavyweight at some point. It's the money division. Yeah. You've certainly got the size and the power to do it. I mean, looking at, you know, former unified and undisputed champions, Evander Holyfield, Alexander Usyk, two exceptional examples. But that must be the long-term plan for you as well. I know you're a man that likes to get paid, and obviously you want the big paydays and you want the legacy as well. But I know the focus is on cruiserweight, but one eye on that heavyweight division as well. And a lot of people think you can do some serious damage up there as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's an inevitable move. I enjoy food. I enjoy weight training, and I enjoy money. So all of those things come together at heavyweight. Obviously, I'd still do my due diligence as a current world champion. But I think, from the people that I've shared the ring with and the experiences that I've had with them, I never feel out of my depth in there with heavyweights. Although there's attributes that I have at cruiserweight that I lose at heavyweight, I gain a whole new set. I might not be the fastest cruiserweight, but I'll be a strong cruiserweight. But at heavyweight, I won't be the strongest heavyweight, but I'll be a faster heavyweight. So you just mix and match and kind of just work with what you got and, show why. It's more about tactics than it is about anything else, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about the life of Lawrence Okolie, because we know the great story that not everyone will know, but it's been well documented, from McDonald's to the World Championships, and that's at the age of 18 or 19. But tell us about life growing up for Lawrence Okolie before that. Obviously, from Hackney, I know that, you lived a humble lifestyle, great family, but also not many opportunities. Talk to us about the life of Lawrence Okolie growing up before the well-documented part of that story.
Yeah, I think it was just that. Grew up in Hackney, lived with my mum and younger siblings. I was the oldest, and I think it was quite an interesting time, because obviously when I was younger, I used to get bullied quite badly. That was in the schools and outside of the schools for the early part.
Because of your weight, because your colour?
Yeah, it was the weight, and obviously my African heritage. I have a name, Ikachuku, which when I was younger was, something that I would get bullied for. They would pick fun at, and also I was quite big for my weight and for my age. So it would be the older kids coming and, trying to, hit me and stuff like that. And see how many punches I could take and stuff like that. So it was quite bad. And at the time, Hackney was quite in our demographic and our areas and stuff, it was very like gang orientated and quite dangerous. So it was kind of, you either went in that direction and joined a gang, or you would kind of be one of the victims, as it were. So those were kind of the
So which one were you?
I was the victim initially. I was the victim, and then as I got older and started to become more self-aware and confident in myself, I started to defend myself more, and then, the bullying stopped. I'm not saying you should go out there and have fights or do anything like that, but that's kind of the way that my life went. But yeah, like I said, initially it was a lot of bullying, a lot of that stuff. And yeah, like I said, I had a lot of self-esteem issues as well. I seem very confident now, I am very confident now, but growing up, that definitely wasn't there. I remember literally just being in my house, having showers, and there was like a mirror in my bathroom, and just looking at the fat and just thinking, if I cut, like, would it, you know what I mean? I was trying to think if I could give myself liposuction or whatever. So I really had proper self-esteem issues. But then, as I got, into my like teen years, I started to get a bit more confident, and then with boxing, obviously everyone says boxing saved their life, but once I started losing the weight from boxing, gaining self-discipline, because that's one thing that I think I never had until I started boxing.
When we talk about London now, and you talk about sort of gangs and that culture, it has progressed from when you were growing up. But as a young man, we talk a lot about in this pod about opportunities for young people, and great to have a great mindset and stuff like that. And we'll come to your part of the story where I think that's most inspirational. But do you see the problems and the struggles for kids from your area to actually go out and create an opportunity for himself? It's not as easy, is it, just to be positive? Like I know that your book talks a lot about that, and that's key to find a passion for something you do. But you can't have had many opportunities in life, and how many people from your situation actually find a way to maneuver themselves to success? Yeah,
no, I think that's one of the main things. I think like not everyone can be a world champion boxer or be an athlete or be, something in that field. Not everyone's got that. But then the reality is, with the lack of opportunities that I do see, it does create the other thing of everyone wants to have a nice watch or, have a little bit extra cash. And unfortunately, there's a lot of times where that's not the case, because most of us, that grow up in those areas come from council housing and low income parents and stuff like that. So there is the lack of opportunity, and then people kind of, sometimes I think it is the easy way out, but it's what people see as opportunity when it comes to drugs. okay, I just made, X amount today, where you couldn't make that in a normal job, or, getting into robberies or whatever else. And my thing is, I think a lot of that does come down to A, opportunities, and B, like financial literacy as well, which is something that I'm really interested in now, because I think that when it comes to like home ownership, saving, investing, all of this kind of stuff, you don't need to actually make huge amounts of money to be able to make the money work for you. But where we're not taught all of that stuff, I think that people kind of go for easier options as opposed to thinking about long-term gains and stuff like that. So I think it's something that, obviously, along with my partners and stuff that I'm working with now, we're going to try and instill as well. I think like a lot of life lessons as well. It's just, a lot of life lessons aren't taught to us. It's bigger than just, hey, here's a job at this law firm or whatever else. It's like, what do you do when you actually get money? And just like a whole bunch of stuff. I could go into a million stories of stuff that I did that I wish I didn't do when I first got any sort of money. But then I can also talk about the positives as well. So it's interesting.
You talk about that watches and cars, and it's that Instagram generation, isn't it? I mean, we're all guilty of posting something nice, or it's a nice beach here, or it's a nice, or you get on a jet or whatever. So how do we motivate the younger generation right now to, like you said, you can earn huge money going out, selling drugs, robbing people, doing what you do, being part of a gang, or you can go the other route. How do you motivate a young kid with your mindset, or not your mindset now, but picture yourself, you're that young kid, right? What is the answer? Because it's glamorized so much, that lifestyle, that I can see why these kids want to go that way.
No, agreed. But I do think that, it could be a case of glamorizing more of that lifestyle as well, as in the more positive one, and shining more of a light on it. And then secondly as well is that is actually instilling it in more than just, like, for example, people like myself coming down into schools and whatever else. I think it needs to be more of a system change, where it's like it's explained the actual long-term effects of like the positive and versus the negative. So for example, like if you compound interest, there's all of these things that we weren't taught how it is to get a mortgage. You can have all of this cash, but you can't get a house. There's loads of different things, but I think it is definitely about bringing in people who have done it the right way, and showing that there's actually, all of the stuff that we glamorize is achievable in this way, but it's just not in your face. Do you know what I mean? And just bringing that more to the forefront.
When you talk about you finding boxing, you're in there, you're using it to get fit, you're changing your mindset. And then the remarkable part of the story, you're working in McDonald's in London, and you're back there flipping burgers, and you see Anthony Joshua at the London 2012 Olympics go out, and the apron goes down, and you say, that's a bit of me. That's what I've got to do. 18, 19 years of age. Talk us through that moment. I'm sure you can remember the moment.
Yeah, no,
and just something in your head says, I've got to make my move now.
Yeah, no, it was the two things. Me and my manager are still actually quite close, so it's not an attack on him. But I remember I came in and I couldn't have been more than 2 minutes. Like, late is late. Yeah, late is late. I get it. But I came in, I think the shift started at 5. I came in at 5:02, checked in, and with my brother. And then the manager just pulled us in, like, you're late, 2 minutes, bro, whatever, you're gonna have to stay an extra hour afterwards, and just all of this. And I just remember looking, and he's a lot smaller than me as well, and just thinking, wow, like, I'm just getting shouted at for being 2 minutes. Oh, late is late, but still, it felt like it was over the top. So that was the start of the day. And then it moved my lunch break, which it moved my lunch break, that 2 minutes being late and having an extra hour. So I actually wouldn't have seen AJ or Usain Bolt in that if I didn't move that, if that break didn't get moved. And then, so I was in there, and then obviously, after being angry that I had to wait an extra hour to eat, I'm there, and then I'm watching it, and I'm just seeing AJ, and he's someone that I'd already kind of known who he was from the world championships and stuff like that. And then seeing him in the finals, I was just like, oh my, this the final, whatever. And then he went in, he had a hard fight, he went for adversity. I wasn't sure if he was going to win. If he wasn't, then he won. And then, like, no one in there really knew boxing, but everyone was cheering anyway in the thing. And I remember just looking around as everyone was cheering, thinking, my time's coming. I can do it. Especially because I saw so many similarities in him to me. Like, it's not like he started boxing late. He was from similar kind of areas, and he'd like blazed through. So I thought, okay, ABA's GB, like you saw his route was very like systematic. So I was thinking, okay, I could do that. And then that day I just went in, I literally went in that day afterwards and was just like, I think that, yeah, this has been fun, but we're gonna have to cut the shifts off. And then the guy was like, yeah, no, like, best of luck to you, whatever. And then that was that.
Have we met this guy since?
No, I went back to that thing. He's no longer working there, but I think he's moved to a different branch. But yeah, so he wasn't there. We haven't met him. We should get him tickets, but anyway.
Now McDonald's a partner of yours.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. It's crazy how stuff goes full circle. Sometimes I look at my life and I just think, how, like, it's weird how stuff goes. Like, I met AJ at the O2 as a fan. So after he'd won the Olympics, it was maybe the next year, he was there, and we were all trying to get into a club, not together, but me and my friends, him and his friends. And the guy, when we got there, no, there's no more space, whatever. And then AJ and these guys came, and then they let them in, and I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. Some of that as well? Yeah, so I get it. Don't worry. Then, but then I quickly got a picture. I need to find that picture. Got a picture of him, and then maybe a year or so later, I'm still trying to, do my thing. And then we sparred, and I remember we sparred for the first time, I think, at the TKL gym. And then I remember it was me, Isaac Chamberlain, and Lopez. We were there at the gym, and he was preparing to fight at Wembley on the George Groves.
Yeah,
I feel it. Yeah, George Groves. Yeah. And that's our first time sparring. So I already knew he was Olympic gold medalist. He's knocking everyone out. He's an animal. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, I have to spar him now. And why did I come here today? And all this stuff. And then I remember everyone was talking beforehand, and they were all like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to slip you shots, and trust me, whatever. And then they said, okay, he's now ready. Who's first in? And I look at the guys who are all talking this, and they're like... So I thought, whatever. I went in, got to work. So we're boxing, and then afterwards, he come up, he's like, oh, you're crazy awkward, and just like, oh, you're really good. And I thought, oh, like, do you reckon he's just saying that just because, like, just to be friendly? But then afterwards, they asked me to come down and spar again. And like, yeah, so they kept calling me, like, maybe like once a week during his camps to come down. And yeah, like, they all thought I was pro because I was training in a pro gym at the time. But then obviously they found out I was amateur. I was doing like 6-8 rounds in a row with AJ at that time, which most people weren't doing. Yeah, so like I said, it's just crazy how that goes full circle. Then I get to the Olympics, then I turn pro with him and his management company. So that's that one. Then the McDonald's one, coming back here.
When you talk about your amateur rise, you weren't someone that came and won 3 or 4 ABA championships. You were really spotted from the spars and stuff like that. Yeah. But your route with the amateurs to the GB team and to the Olympics was a very short one, wasn't it, in terms of amateur experience? Yeah. And you kind of like feel like the mentality and mindset you have now, what you would have had at the Rio Games, was someone that was really never ready to win an Olympic gold. No. You were a pure novice, weren't you, at the Olympics?
No, agreed. I think for me, that was probably one of the best things. So what I understand is that I always am someone that would speak stuff into existence, in my opinion. I got to the GB team quite simply in October, November of 2015, and had 15 amateur fights at the time, and had never been in an international fight or won the ABAs before. But I remember us all being in a orientation or whatever when you first go down, and they were all like, yeah, 2020 Olympics, you guys are, shoot, trust me, put in the work. Rio will go, but Tokyo. And I remember saying, nah, I'm going to the 2016 one. And then Rob McCracken, who's the head of GB, was like, there's always one that ends up doing it. And I was just like, and I remember thinking, it's me, definitely, I'm going to do it. And then I just kind of just ran with it. And I remember I was so hungry to get to the Olympics, nothing was stopping me. I just remember going to the qualifiers, losing some fights, thinking, doesn't matter, go in. And I just kept going. When I qualified, I remember thinking, I've done it. I'm going to get a massive sign-on fee. I'm going to this, I've already, I wasn't even thinking about winning.
Was your mind on the pros?
On the pros, yeah.
You was in the Olympics.
And amateurs, everything was about, I saw James DeGaulle win an Olympics and then turn over. I saw all of the 2012 guys turn over and was doing amazing. So I was thinking, once you're an Olympian, you've kind of done it. And I remember not having the same mindset about being at the games, if that makes sense. And I was just kind of happy to be there. But then after I didn't win a medal or anything like that, I remember just going home and really reflecting with myself, and saying, like, you can't allow that to sort of be the way that you operate.
Do you regret that now, looking back at the
100%,
Olympics? Because I feel like when you were part of that team, you were a bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
It was almost like amazing to be there.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Like I said, in November the year before, I was just in Hackney, just thinking about what uni thing I was gonna do and what normal job I was gonna get. That was it. I was always hoping maybe I could do, but it wasn't a foregone conclusion. But as you said, it was kind of like my ambition was always there, but the reality was like I was living at home with my mum, just thinking, I'll turn pro and see what happens. And it was like I said, I never had the same belief in what I was actually going to do. I just hoped it would happen, where now I make it happen, if that makes sense.
Talk us through that change in mindset, because when you turned pro, you were this sort of tall, little bit sort of wiry, gangly cruiserweight that could punch, but was still a pure novice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, before we know it, British, Commonwealth, European cruiserweight champion, and got yourself in a position to fight for a world title. But the belief from you is something that I think is most fascinating. I don't feel as though you're the deepest thinker in the world, and I think that's an advantage, by the way, especially for a fighter. I think you understand your mind, and I think you know where you're at in your career. But the growth from that guy that was happy to be there versus this guy that knows and believes he can beat everybody in the world. It was a very short period of time that changed.
Yeah, I think that it's more so with that. It's understanding the blessing. As I said, it's a blessing to be able to fight at the O2 on big shows, and just that kind of took the pressure off. And once the pressure came off of me in boxing, it kind of allowed me to think, hold on a minute, I am actually good. Because once you start saying, I'm good, I'm the best in the world, I can do this, and putting yourself in these situations, you have to deal with the pressure that comes with it. But once I took the reins off and said, there's no pressure, I'm very, very happy to be here, and I know that I'm meant to be here, it all just sort of fell into place. And if I'm honest, it's also a lot to do with the training as well. So the people that I've sparred and how the spars have gone, and also each of my trainers had helped me build, if that makes sense, my mindset. So my first one was, he's one that's, he's always said walk in confidence, but I never really got it until later. And then I trained with a guy, Barry, he was a savage, and that helped as well. And then obviously now with Shane is like the most self-assured trainer that I've seen, if that makes sense. And like he's someone that is extremely competitive, it just as a coach versus other coaches. And even when we're training, he's like, I used to do, I would say, I did this exercise, and it would just be, I used to, smash that. And that mindset always helps me, because like I said, because I'm confident already, to have someone else who's as confident, if not more in a way, I kind of feed off of it.
We speak to a lot of people on this pod, and a common theme seems to be that when they get to where they always dreamed of being, they never quite felt fulfilled. And the same question to you. Imagine you're back flipping burgers in McDonald's, and I say to you, you're going to win a world title and you're going to defend it at the O2. You'd give everything you had at that point to achieve that moment. Do you feel fulfilled? I know you have dreams and you feel like you've got a long way to go, but are you happy in your life right now, or you chasing something? It seems to be like a lot of empty spaces with some people, in that like you get there, and I feel a little bit like that sometimes, like you do a show at Wembley or Dallas with Canelo Saunders, and you're like looking around, people going, this is, and I'm feeling, but it's just not, I don't know, is that just a competitive mindset?
I think so.
Where are you in your space right now?
I think so. I think definitely I've had to really, really tell myself that you'd be happy with certain, because as you said, when I won the world title last year, I was very much like, okay, I went home, ate some food, chilled, saw my mum, and then I was just looked at the belt and I just thought, okay. Do you know what I mean? So I'm obviously happy and blessed, but I think in a weird way, I get more fulfillment from other stuff that comes with boxing, i.e. like being able to help my mum and sister and stuff like that, and even just like gaining knowledge and other stuff that only comes with being a champion. So for example, there's people that have given me opportunities outside of boxing that have helped me massively, that wouldn't have maybe given me information that they gave me if I wasn't a champion. Does that make sense? So I feel like I'm gaining a lot of like fulfillment fruit with boxing being the fuel, But then there's so many
Boxing's opening doors for you.
Yeah, boxing opening massive doors. Like I've done some stuff like.
But you're quite different from some fighters in that respect. Some fighters, all they have is boxing. But I know you're very passionate about boxing.
Yes.
But you also see boxing as a way to open up other doors, and we joke about the rapping and Okolie Fit and you know McDonald's and the book and stuff like that. But you wouldn't have been able to achieve all that without boxing.
This is it, and that's the reality. And sometimes it takes like my close friends and stuff to hold me accountable, because like I understand that boxing. I came up and I saw George Groves, Carl Froch, etc. at the top, had their time, and then everyone retires and moves on. So I understand that boxing, there is a finite time that I can do it for, that I will be physically strong, physically able to do what I'm doing, and there will be a time where I have to hang the gloves up. So all I'm doing is mentally preparing myself for the times where I'm not going to be the guy headlining the O2. I'll be in the crowd, hopefully still getting tickets to watch, and setting myself up in that way as well. Like I've done stuff outside of boxing that have completely changed my mindset and even financial position because of boxing, if that makes any sense. So without boxing, none of it happens.
Is there a danger though that when it's not everything to you in a sport like that, when it gets hard and tough, like are you prepared to go to those places? Because you know what I'm saying, like, so
no,
imagine, and I always see this with young fighters, because you know Naz was one of the greatest examples, probably one of the greatest British fighters of all time, just got to the point where he got everything he ever dreamed of, and the hunger just wasn't there anymore.
Personally, I think within myself, I'm just like, that's the way I am. I enjoy being put into hard positions, and I don't think that the stuff outside of boxing or X amount of money is going to turn away that hunger. It's just who you are as a person. You're either savage or you're not. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's hard to say, because I still haven't got to that position where I think I've done it. Like I'm still very much chasing stuff in boxing and in life as well. But like I said, in terms of like money and stuff like that, like it's really only one part of life and one part of everything. I think the other part, which is walking around as the champ, that is another fuel and motivation that comes with it as well. Like when I'm in a hard fight, I always go to the corner if it's a hard fight. I motivate myself with not money and stuff like that, but also status as well, which is that's one of my motivations as well. I think I do like walking around and knowing that I'm a world champion. Do you know what I mean? And I can't imagine someone being able to pummel it out of me. No.
But you're ready to take a beating.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that's never you're a smart fighter. That's never the aim of the game. But you have a fight on Sunday against one of the best cruiserweights in the world in Mikhail Sislak. You may have to go through some horrible places.
Yeah, I'm smiling. I don't want to, but I know already what I'm capable of, like in those situations. At the end of the day, I'm not the type of person that enjoys like sparring people who I'm way better than, or like you can see the type of people that I push myself and spar against. I put myself in hard positions. Obviously sparring is very different from fighting, but I'm in there with 2, 3, 4 good guys doing a few rounds each to try to push me into those situations where after 3 rounds of hard work with this one, he gets to jump out. So he's put his all in. Then the next one comes in and doesn't care you've done 3 rounds. Then the next one gets in, doesn't care you've done 6, and so on. So I'm more than ready to take and give a beating. Like I said, I don't really want to show it, but one day it would be nice to just show that savage side that I'm talking about. Hopefully I don't have to show it on Sunday, but if I do, it'll be fun for everyone.
Final question to you. I know you're preparing a couple of days away from your WBO world title defence, but success, the word success, I think success, as we found it on this podcast, is something that is interpreted by the individual. You know, and when you're younger, I'm sure you always thought of success as the Bentley or the watch or the house. Having experienced different stages in your life and reached a successful point, so to speak, how do you deem success? What is success to Lawrence Okolie?
I think it's security at this stage in my life, and that comes in so many different ways. So that's financial security for myself, and then also being able to secure my family and friends with opportunities as well. So I think security really, because you can be seen as doing something amazing but not be secure, and once that thing's finished, you're also not secure anymore. So I think security is definitely it.
And finally, to the younger generation from background similar to yourself, what do you say now to those people on a chance on this platform? You were that young kid. What did you want to hear? What did you need to hear to give that message of positivity and tell them that they can achieve, just like you went on and changed your own life?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the main thing that I would say is believe in yourself in a positive way, and always trust the process, and that know that, you know, today it might look this way, but there's a long positive road ahead if you decide to take it. Yeah, like I said, always believe in yourself, and anything can happen.
Well, Lawrence Okolie, the best cruiserweight in the world, one of the brightest stars in world boxing, one of the best fighters in Britain today. Thank you for joining us on No Passion, No Point.
Cheers, thank you.
All right.
I enjoyed that. I forgot you guys. He's so captivating.
It's good. I love it. I love chatting shit. Well, there you have it. Lawrence Okolie ready to defend his world title on Sunday. But fascinating mindset. I mean, you have to understand, I've known Lawrence Okolie from 2012, 2013, where he came out of the Rio Olympics and came out as a kid, really. Someone that, as I said in the interview, was happy just to make the Olympics. And the growth that I've seen from him becoming a British, Commonwealth, European and world champion as well, quite remarkable, really. And that growth is so important. I think he's such an important person when you talk about explaining the role that boxing can play within the community, explaining to younger kids from that kind of background that there is a future. You know, we talk so much, we spoke with H the other week, didn't we, about saying to a young kid that's watching Instagram, looking at watches and jets and holidays, that, you know, people want fast money, people want bad money, people aren't willing to build the foundations for a long, successful career. And I think people like Lawrence Okolie are so important to teaching that generation, and particularly kids from that kind of background, that there is a sustainable, smart way to build a career and make money and do it in the right way. But it all comes again from finding passion. As always, we're going through the listener questions, and this one's from Tom, also father of two girls like myself. Congrats on securing another season of pods. These have been massively entertained, informed, and helped put things into perspective for me during the last couple of years. Thanks, Tom. Sounds like I wrote that, but that is definitely from Tom. My question is, who would be on your bucket list to interview for the pod and why? Both living, so still a chance you could do in the future, and someone no longer with us. I think that if it's someone that's no longer with us, it's between two people, or three people, and that is Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, and Winston Churchill. I think three people that I'd love to pick the brains of. I'm into quite a lot of motivational stuff at the moment, as you might have gathered from the subjects of the pods, but I would like to sit down and have a chat, maybe with an actor. I've met some great sportsmen and women, but maybe an actor or something like that. I think I might go for Morgan Freeman or Denzel Washington. So, producer Gwyn, pull your finger out and get me Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman. I mean, if you're listening, guys, and I'm sure you are, massive fans of No Passion, No Point, we're ready to go next week. See you soon. Eddie Hearn, No Passion, No Point was hosted by me, Eddie Hearn.